fortune, everybody. It's another Thursday, and boy, do we have a lot to talk about. As you can see, I'm in the Otter's den, and we have, I guess a lot to talk about. Let me take my blue light protector off. I can recommend these to you, not because I'm a, doctor of blue light or because I'm any expert, but because I have found it useful to block blue light, which, if you remember from some other shows, we had some reports on from a legitimate brain surgeon, Dr. Jack Cruz, Kruse. Anyway, he says it harms us. I believe him. Why? Because, well, mainstream says it doesn't. So, and they're the ones foisting it upon us. It doesn't have to have these blue rays or blue light coming from our computers and phones, but they do it that way because they hate you. Anyway, we're going out on a bunch of different platforms right now, mostly YouTube and Facebook. The Joe Martinez, KCYP 97.7 FM here out of McAllen, Texas. Going off on his Facebook and YouTube, and we're going off on Christopher Ott and Bitcoin Otter, Facebook and YouTube pages. So I'm going to add in our chat here, see what we have. No one's in there yet, but I want to tell you something else. Thank you for watching this show both live and recorded. We get, on the average, like 300 views, people watching. So there's people out there that are interested in what we're talking about. And I say we because I'm not alone. We have some pretty lively conversations, normally on the show. And I appreciate that also. So we have some things to go through and not the least of which, of course, is crypto, because this is the Bitcoin Otter Show. However, I also want to remind you that we are going through perhaps, and one of these days I'll probably delete the perhaps clause, but we are going through most probably the most remarkable time of maybe even the last century. I know I'm going out on a limb there. We had, it's 25 right now, 2025. So we'd have to go back to 1925 for that whole century thing to take effect. And yeah, World War II, which I want to just lay this out there for you right now, is nothing like what we were taught. Okay. Please, if you want a little bit of info on that, and yes, it's not an easy read, but it is relatively short. It's not a book, but it's not an article, so to speak. It's more like a dissertation. Okay. I have something that I like to show people, and I'll let you know right now, out of probably over 100, maybe 110 people I've sent it to, I don't remember anybody asking me about it because they usually quit. So if you're going to ask for this, very good information as to why I make this. Hey, Sue, thanks. Say hi to Dad for me. Love you, Dad. So it's one of those things where it's going to be a difficult read, and only ask for it if you really want it, because I'll tell you what, it will be very edifying for you, but it's not, the usual fare that you would read out of Time Magazine or Newsweek. In other words, it's not retarded. So you're going to have to use your brain, which I know you have, or otherwise you wouldn't be watching this. And you will need to put your, I won't say thinking cap, your logical, critical thinking skills to bear. You'll have to bring those to bear. And believe me, that this dissertation, if you will, is by all means well sourced. This gentleman does not leave anything to your imagination when it comes to, hey, where did he get that? How did he come up with this? It's all there. It's all there. So all that to say that the time we're going through right now is, when I say monumental, I don't mean it just in, the phraseology of it. I mean monumental because there are literally going to be monuments built about the events of this time. How do I know this? Donald Trump has already said that he's going to make an immense, huge, in his words, museum based on the events that are going on right now. You might be thinking to yourself, man, it's politics, man. It's going to be the same. No, sir or ma'am, it is not going to be the same. After the transformation, let me reform it. After the reformation of the United States of America, we will be stronger than ever. We will be better than ever. Better. Hey, C Cantu, how are you doing? Greetings to you also, brother. Glad to see you're up on the chat. Let us know if you want to see something, guys. Whatever you guys want to talk about. I, of course, have a list of things. I have the split screen here right now, so I got a list of things I want to talk about, but I also am very interested in what you want to talk about and your opinions regarding those things. And I'll give you mine. I'll give you a breakdown or why I think the way I do about a certain thing. So to get into some crypto news, Bitcoin, and I want to jump off on this. I don't have it written anywhere and nobody reported it. Bitcoin, and it might have gone lower. You let me know if you saw it lower. But I work nights, and I saw Bitcoin at $73,000. And as we all know, for reasons of the usual suspects, if Bitcoin is that low, you know other favorite coins are going to be low also. So I got on some Digibyte, a little bag. You know, it doesn't take a lot. It's less than a cent, or it was when Bitcoin was down to 73,000. So I grabbed a little bag of Digibyte. Very strong crypto. OG. I mean, it is, old style gangsta, if you want to call it that. Digibyte is what a lot of people believe, people that have been into it a long time. Sue, yes, thank you for the accent there, the affirmation. Digibyte is old guard, meaning it's been around a long time. It's a solid project. I mean, I'm going down to things that the big daddy Bitcoin has, right? So it's been around. That's the original, right? Can't beat that. It's been around a long time. One, it's solid. It's a great project, as we all know. And along with Digibyte, and this is what I have to say with Digibyte, it's decentralized to the maximum amount, other than Bitcoin, right? Because Bitcoin doesn't have a boss. Satoshi Nakamoto disappeared. Don't know where he's at. We don't know. That's the ultimate poof, decentralized, right? So Digibyte is not far behind, okay? They don't have a centralized control source over their project. It's faster, from what I hear, than Bitcoin, more versatile, has more or better or both blockchain layers that you can do different things with them technologically. So Digibyte is just waiting for its day in the sun. So I looked at it a couple of days ago. During last bull run, I think it went up to like 12 cents. That's their highest, right? However, again, it was less than a cent the other day. Not sure where it's at right now. But if you get a 1,200% return on your money, right? I mean, come on, right? What are we looking at here? What are we looking at? We're looking at 12x, 1 to 12, right? How is that bad? It's not. And you don't have to spend a lot of money to get a lot of Digibyte. Just saying that. I'm not a financial advisor. I'll remind you of that. Now, we have something from Cointelegraph here. It says, North Carolina lawmaker introduces Digital Asset Freedom Act. This is coming out of North Carolina, obviously. Let's talk XRP, says CCon233. I didn't even mean that to rhyme, but it did. XRP. Well, first of all, XRP is pretty much, and I'm sure you know this, it's pretty much already in the books as the railway that international financial transactions will be run on. Meaning, if you're going to make a financial transaction in the world, XRP is going to be that blockchain that's going to bring that transaction from start to finish and anywhere in between. So that is pretty, and let me back up. How do we know that XRP is already geared toward or in the process of this adoption? Okay, so this is old news, months, right? So there are, and I'm sure now there's more, But at the onset of this news break, we heard that, we read that, we were, insured that 500 international banks, meaning all over the world, were already signed on to the XRP protocol. Yes, 500 banks around the world. And let me just pause this for a second, ladies and gentlemen, because this will also, this concept can be transposed into finance, regular, fiat finance. It can be transposed into politics, conspiracy theory, whatever you want to say. What I want to say right now, and I think we are all on the same page here, the people who move money around the world know what is happening. They know what is going on right now. The people who gain information at the lowest level, I'm talking about the pig trough that is television, The View, CNN, Fox. If you're getting your information from that low level, you don't know what's happening because they don't want you to know what's happening. They don't. They make more profit if you don't know. In fact, their profit is your finance. Whatever you have, they want. And keeping you in the dark about what's really going on is their object. But we're not those people, are we? Not us. Sue, I'm going to get your comment in a second. So with XRP, we know that it's got a potential. Has it happened yet? No. Do we know the future? No, my crystal ball's in the shop. Can't tell you. But XRP is legit. XRP, in my opinion, and who am I, right? Not a financial advisor, that's for sure. But XRP is primed. It dipped a while under that, whatever that trade thing was. And we're going to get into that. I'm going to jump over to CoinMarketCap here. And we're going to take a look at XRP. What did it do during that little dip? It went down under 200. Under $2 to $1.93, $1.93, which is bargain basement. Those of us who've been on the XRP tip for a while, well, we've been getting it for under $1. That time may never come again. Sorry to tell you, but if you want a dollar cost average and you want to get it below $14 or $15 or $100 or wherever you think it's going to go, pick up some XRP, grab yourself a bag. All along the lines of, hey, we know más o menos, more or less, what's coming our way. Now, CC, is there anything else you want to talk about XRP? That was a brief rundown of where I believe it's going. Now, those numbers I threw out there were numbers that people who study the markets have come up with. In fact, I've even heard regarding XRP that it doesn't work to its full potential unless it's a 3-digit, meaning 100 or more value token. That's what I've heard. I don't know the algorithm. I don't know, the program. I don't know all that. So I can only say what I have heard by people who claim to be blockchain gurus or whatever you want to call it. Buy the dip is exactly right. Exactly right. And the dip went to $1.93 recently. I don't know if it'll get lower than that. I mean, we're in times when we might be seeing the low right now of all time. Bitcoin probably, coins like XRP also. I don't know. I'm not saying that. Please don't quote me. I don't know. Maybe we'll get another buying opportunity. I don't know. Sue says that $1.96 right now. Wow. So it hasn't moved much, right? Since the big dip, 3 cents. So we're still in the hot zone, if you will. Thank you, Sue. Sue, your earlier comment, I got into some Fetch, FET, and Numeraire, NMR, thinking the AI coins may be the way to go. That is a good bet in my estimation. So I think that if you're going for coins that work with AI, I think that's a good idea. Now you're going to want to give scrutiny to those coins, right? You're going to want to find out how many are there, what's the history of the project, looking basics up so that we don't get scammed, right? But I would only imagine that you did the legwork on that NMR, and you picked up a little bag there. That's I'll tell you, that's the way we got to play right now. And me and some of the guys that I talk a lot of crypto with are of the same opinion on this. See what you think. Wouldn't it be great to have a little bit extra, moolah to invest on the side, but a pure trading bag? You know what I mean? Just for trading. That's it. I got to apologize here. I got a cat with babies under my desk. I know you don't believe me. You think I'm exaggerating. I would too. But I got to let Mama out. She's got to do her thing or else we got problems. So I'm going to there you go. Go ahead. Yeah. So Mama just went out, and Sue can vouch for this. I've been, complaining about this whole situation. I got a cubby hole underneath my desk here. And, the cat decided to give birth right under the desk. So whatever, things are the way they are. That doesn't mean we can't talk crypto. So the whole idea of having a side bag, whatever you can afford, $100, whatever, is something that if you're able to pay attention to it day by day and even intraday, I mean, if you don't have a lot going on and you're able to check it from hour to hour or whatever, just think about the money you can make in this volatility. Think about it. We are at a point now where volatility is through the roof. Okay. So I would suggest that if you're able to do it and you can save within now in the next 90 days, and we're going to get into this in a little bit, 90 days, right? This moratorium that Donald Trump put on the tariffs, within 90 days, it's going to be over. And we're going to talk about that in a minute, right? But that'll give us a little bit of time, 90 days, to save up enough to have a play bag, just something that we could say, hey, I'm going to buy now because, well, it's in the crapper, because we know it's going to go up. You don't lose until you sell. And then when you sell, hopefully you're doing it to win. So that's something we've been thinking about. I'm sure you guys have already thought about that, but man, wouldn't that be nice? So this North Carolina lawmaker says that Digital Asset Freedom Act might go forward in North Carolina, right? So what that is about is allowing you to use digital assets to pay things like taxes. I think personally, it's a good idea in the road to legitimizing. Well, we already know it's legit, right? We know it's legitimate. So let's just say adoption, the road to adoption. But do we really want to pay taxes with Bitcoin? I don't think so. I mean, yeah, sure, it would fill up the North Carolina Bitcoin reserve for that state, but it wouldn't be in your possession anymore. And we all know that, if it's not your keys, it's not your crypto. So I would really personally not pay taxes in, even the Bible says, Jesus Christ himself says, give unto Caesar what is Caesar's. And Caesar or anybody else, their picture is not on Bitcoin. I'm just saying, the whole Federal Reserve note, you've got that Luciferian triangle, the pyramid there. We know who we're paying when we give a Federal Reserve note. We're paying Caesar or Satan or whoever you want to call him. We know we're doing that when we, give up the dollars, the Federal Reserve notes, which is fine. Give him what is his, right? But when it comes to Bitcoin, that's freedom encapsulated digitally. So I don't know that I'll be giving that up easy. Anyway, it is a step, in my opinion, in the mass adoption roadway. So that's a good thing. Now, there's some other things. Let's see, Sue. Let's see if I can hit on that link. What I don't want, Sue, is for me to. I don't want to click on it right now because what I don't want to happen is me to get off of the streaming. But thank you for that, so we can look it up. Basically, it's if you're listening in the vehicle and you're not here, Sue put in the chat a link to Numeraire, NMR. So there's a link there with all the details as to what it is that's in that crypto and why at least Sue and I'm sure others think that it's a good buy. Mainly it's the AI subject, right? I mean, that's the theme. AI is that's To me, you don't. I mean, that's it right now. I won't say you can't go wrong. I'm sure you can. But the fact of the matter is AI is hot right now. And it's probably a good investment. Let me get the cat again. Again. Get in here. Yeah. Anyway. So this is on a zero hedge. U.S. stocks saw an historic rise after U.S. President Trump announced a 90-day pause on reciprocal tariffs. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you have these in your orbit. I'm sure you have these people in your family, your workplace, your friend circle that are just freaking out and blaming Trump for the market downturn. But, I'll be willing to bet that they don't even say it that way. They're going to use the word economy, a horrible economy, and Donald Trump, the orange man, is bad. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to use this in the clinical sense, the purely clinical sense. That is a retarded take. It is a take that only a mentally retarded person, and I mean this in the clinical sense, if you're unable to pass a certain level of thought process, then your thought process has been retarded. It's been held back. And people who still tie the Wall Street casino, right, the stock market, with the economy at large are mentally retarded. Their thought process has been retarded. They're not able to see reality, which is that the stock market is manipulated. Now, I'm not saying that the economy is not either, but the stock market is an inside game. It's a fixed draw. It's a shell game. It's not real. Okay? If it was real, they wouldn't allow all of us to have our retirement accounts in it. Are you getting where I'm going? Are you understanding what I'm trying to say? Okay? The parasite class, the billionaires, the nasty people that run the world and the world system, they don't let us in on their good stuff. They don't. They're not about sharing good news, financial good news and opportunity with people like you and me. They're just not about that. They don't do that. Okay? So why would we think that if the stock market was so good, right? The ability that we have to interact with it, if it was so open, free, and available and profitable, do you think we'd be able to get into it? No, not at all. Not at all. Just like the fact that they don't pay taxes. Can we get in on that? No, unless you're an illegal alien. You can get in on it then. In fact, their Doge is digging up stuff now that the Social Security, I'll just use the term agency, is giving benefits, money to illegal aliens. Now, in case you're worried about these illegal aliens, no, they don't have to file. No, they don't have to pay taxes. They receive a buttload of cash, though. Yeah, yours. Your cash is given to illegal aliens. Okay? Why? Because they're voters, ladies and gentlemen. They will vote. Not for America. Not for a better America, anyway. And if you want to play the long term, they'll get theirs in the end because the communists aren't going to like them either. They hate them too. They're just using them now. They find them useful. So they'll give them your money so that they'll stay here and vote. Yeah. Hard, ugly truth, but it is the truth. So when people conflate a diving, dropping, tanking stock market to a bad economy, you know right away that they're not able to think properly. So you may not want to take advice from them. So this goes on in zero hedge. U.S. dollar strengthened after U.S. President Trump's announcement of a 90-day pause to reciprocal tariffs on 75 countries. Ladies and gentlemen, when he laid the gauntlet down, 75 so far that we know of, 75 countries said, whoa, 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 whoa. Let's talk, boss. Let's talk. Let's talk. As he knew was going to happen. So when he puts this moratorium, this 90-day pause to reevaluate, not his stance by any means, but the trade agreements in these 75 nations, that's a lot of, man, that's a lot of diplomacy right there, right? 90 days, who knows if that's going to be enough? But he made his point. He made his point, okay? He did what he said he was going to do, and we all saw the reaction. Now, mental midgets are going to say, wait a minute, did you see this stock market tank? Look what he did. Ladies and gentlemen, please. What were we talking about initially? The dip, right? So CC Cantu 33, right? You noticed, Sue, you were telling us about the dip. We know about the dip. We took advantage of it. Are we rich? In my case, hell no. But if Main Street can take advantage of what's going on in Washington, ladies and gentlemen, this game's flipped. This game has flipped. Because traditionally, only the ultra-rich parasite class was able to take advantage of what came out of Washington, D.C. and the Federal Reserve and Wall Street. I mean, they're all interconnected like an incestuous Manson family or something. So we see that, wait a minute, whoa. If Trump says this, the market is going to do that. I got a couple extra dollars. Am I getting somewhere? Am I resonating with anyone? I hope so. The time has come when people like you and I, we can actually profit from things coming out of Washington and from the reaction by the stock market and the crypto market. Okay? We can do this now if we're not retarded. You know, I'm going to go back to, I'm sure many people here are old, maybe not as old as me, but I'm going to use a movie line. This is out of Animal House. Okay? Mr. Blutarsky. Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son. That was sage advice by Dean Wormer. I mean, he really laid it out for Mr. Blutarsky. And I'm laying it out for all those people who just can't understand. We are in charge now. Yes, we are the media now. Yes, that ability has been wrested from the hands of the parasite class. You might not think so, and it's definitely not in your face yet. But if you come along and warm up to this way of thinking, I believe you're going to come to the same conclusion I have. Basically that we're winning. Now, this goes on to say that in Trump's view, these countries have both called the U.S. and not retaliated in any way, shape, or form. Okay? To U.S. tariffs and will receive a substantially lowered reciprocal tariff during this period of 10%, effective immediately. Although, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. I got to move over here. Wrong way. Carrot's in this hand. Hey, guys. We'll come to the table. You got this. Look, carrot. See the carrot? Here you go. This is what we got for you. And then on the other hand, oh, hey, China, you want to reciprocate? You want to up your tariffs? Here's the stick. Whack, whack. Crude. I know. Crude illustration, but accurate. So Donald Trump says effective immediately, although he announced to increase reciprocal tariffs, increase on China to 125% from 104% after China announced an additional 50% tariff on the U.S. to lift its retaliatory tariffs to a total of 84%. Ladies and gentlemen, the Chinese emperor has no clothes. We've always heard many things about China, but if we believe they're better off financially than the United States, then we have, again, been watching way, way too much TV. Okay? I would say TV is kind of like meth. You really got to control your usage. I just, in a word. Here's something going on. Nasty. This is Colorado. So communists have grown into many states. Let's say California, New York, Illinois, and now Colorado. They went full retard. They have now said that if you misgender your child, you could lose custody of your child. I don't know what the details are, age groups. I don't know that. Okay. But if you have a son and you're refusing to chop off his manhood, you could lose your child. Because in Colorado, the people are not in control. We, the people in Colorado, are chattel, used only to finance communist agendas. Like this one. Misgender your child, that child's gone. And what do you think they're going to do once they take your child? Do you think that child is going to come back in pieces? So do I. White House official, still zero hedge. White House official says more than 15 countries have made trade deal offers. Well, that's old news. We got 75. 75, baby. People are coming to the table. Why? Because they see it's been unbalanced, asymmetrical, if you will, for generations. Because the Republicans and the Democrats have been ripping us off. Generation after generation after generation. We Americans pay huge tariff amounts. I think Canada on lumber was, I don't want to be quoted. I don't want to quote anything, but it was a crazy amount. Now I want to say that maple syrup was over 100%, maybe 200% tariff on maple syrup. And those British vassals up in Canada, they're crying about what's going on now. Look into your government. See what those freaks are doing to you. Because they're no longer going to do it to us. So the White House official says more than 15 countries have made trade deal offers. Well, that's what the 90-day moratorium is. They're going to be working that out, ironing out the details, as it were. House passes bill requiring proof of citizenship to vote. How dare they? How dare they want proof of citizenship to vote? Can anybody vote? Can it just be anybody? It also requires states to establish programs to remove illegal immigrants. Can you believe that? Those poor people from existing voter rolls, and allows U.S. citizens to sue election officials, this is a good one, who don't adhere to the proof of citizenship requirements. Yes. Sue election officials. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going someplace. Arizona, you have hope. Where hope was extinguished under Katie the Hatchet Hobbs, Katie Corrupt Hobbs, you now have hope. You can sue these people. U.S. Spy Chief Gabbard, Tulsi. Here's something I was thinking about earlier. Now, I'm a married man. I want to make that very clear. But I have noticed that females on the left, most of them, especially the celebrity kind, are rather unattractive. Rosie O'Donnell, anybody? I'm not going to go full Al Bundy on this, but it could. Al Bundy has some very interesting opinions about people like that. Anyway, man, if you have the ability to think, if you're not cerebrally retarded, and you think of how our freedom movement is going, who do we have in our corner, so to speak, as strong women? Tulsi Gabbard. Wow. You ever see her shoot? Yeah. Kristi Noem. Yeah. Pam Bondi. Ooh, yeah. Now we're talking, right? I think being on the right side, not right as in right and left, but correct side, I think it does something for us. And not to say that there are some people out there that don't have a strong, healthy mind. I mean, I'm no Romeo over here, right? More on the frog side of the scale. I know, but I'm still able to think these things out. So I would imagine that, unattractive people can also think these things out. It just seems like the left does something that mentally, physically affects them. It's just a hunch. If you got anything else, throw it up there. I'll hear you out. So the Gateway pundit, Pam Bondi, there she is again, announces no negotiations for Tesla terrorists facing at least 20 years in prison. Now, I'm sure you've seen these things if you've been checking on all those things. Oh, Sue says, don't be mean and stop with the retarded comment. Mentally retarded people are being insulted by comparing them to the robots you are referring to. Thank you, Sue. Thank you. I'm remiss because I have respect and I do honor people who have legitimate medical issues with their thinking process. I do honor them and I respect them as human beings. And I shouldn't lump them in with those people who sit through an entire episode of The View. Oh man, that soured the coffee in my belly. Thinking about sticking around for a whole episode of The View. Anyway, thank you, Sue, for bringing me to my senses. Pam Bondi announces no negotiations for Tesla terrorists facing at least 20 years in prison. So if you've been watching any social media at all, you can see these people, these idiots. Idiots! That's a kind word. Ladies and gentlemen, Teslas have onboard cameras. Always on. Always on. So you have people. I saw a video where this woman scratched all the way down this Tesla. Now, let me remind you that the average Tesla buyer is a supporter of LTGB, XYZ, Q, and C. They are supporters of usually the left. A Tesla buyer owner is normally, on the average, not always, someone who believes in the Green New Scam. The same stuff that these people with keys believe in. But because they've been programmed to hate Elon Musk, because Elon Musk is putting a wrench in the gears of the deep state, these programmed NPCs, non-player characters, are scratching Teslas, not even caring that there's cameras on them. And a lot of them are getting caught, and you watch this on X or Facebook or whatever you look at. I would highly recommend X over Facebook. But regardless, what I can say is this. The response, the law enforcement response is there now. So it says, Pam Bondi says, no negotiations for Tesla terrorists. Think about it, ladies and gentlemen. You think, oh, terrorists, that's a strong word, Otter. That's a strong word. Well, maybe it is. But so are their tactics. Think about this. Teslas are not cheap. Most of these people, if they're like us, are in debt because of the vehicle they bought. So what do you think is going to happen to the resale value of their vehicle when some communist Yahoo scratches the hell out of it? You and I both know the answer to that question. So should this person go to jail? Yes. Yes. They should go to jail. Domestic terrorism is no better than foreign terrorism. Same. Because you believe this, that, or the other, we're going to damage your property. We're going to take money from you. Let's not let them win. So HHS, Health and Human Services Secretary RFK Jr., says that by September, we will know what causes autism epidemic in the U.S. We already know. See the wink? If you're actually listening, you can't see the wink. We know what it is. He's on the trail. He's on the trail. We know what it is. You know what it is. But I'm on Facebook and YouTube where the truth is verboten. Yeah, we can't really tell the truth. We do here on the Bitcoin Otter Show, but we do it in a way that, won't piss off the pharmaceutical companies and all that. But again, Jody, if you're watching, I'm sorry I'm not on Rumble right now. You may have met, maybe not in person, but the ultimate procrastinator, as my sister Sue knows. Yeah, we've been working on a website for a while. But I guess, I don't know if it makes any sense or if it's a legitimate excuse, but I do have a job, a very time-consuming job. So all that to say, RFK Jr. hopefully is on it. And September, Otter, that's a long time. Yeah, but things have to take their time, unfortunately. Let's not be like those people who are unable to think and say, oh, wow, from one day to the next, it's Trump. And there's another thing that you got to notice about these people. Trump is bad because the stock market went down. And these maladjusted mentally people think that the stock market means economy and vice versa. They think that it was Donald Trump's fault that the stock market tanked. But when it goes up, however many thousands of points, did Trump do? No, not according to them. It's level-headed people. It's adults in the room that have brought things to bear to the economy. Yeah, they really do think that way. So we all know what causes autism and what caused the spike in the epidemic in the U.S. We all know what it is, and hopefully one of these days we can talk about it candidly. And I will be doing. I need to bring my will and discipline to bear here, but I don't know if I'll have a double show or whatever. But we're gonna have to do Rumble soon. Here's what I just found out: helicopter splits in half and crashes into the Hudson River, killing all 6 on board. Victims include 3 children. Ladies and gentlemen, you know that here we speak about all things. Literally all things, and some of them are conspiratorial. Oh, man. I haven't known of a helicopter to crash in half. We got any Air Force people out there? We got any aviation people? Please let me know. Is it common for a helicopter split in half? I don't think it is. And they have video on it, and you can see just the cab portion without the rear rotor in the back, that whole arm that takes the rotor that's on the rear of the aircraft, all the way to the end where it stabilizes it. That was gone as you see it fall into the Hudson River. I don't know, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what's going on. I won't pretend to know, but wow, things are happening. As I said in the beginning of the show, things are happening, and a lot of them are not good. A lot of them are just horrible, to be honest. I'm about to, unless somebody wants to talk to something else, talk to something or talk about something, I'm open for that. But if not, I'm ready to sign off. We're going to make this an early one. But the fact of the matter is, we are living in a time when we're going to be able to turn back to our grandkids or kids or grandkids, generations down the line, and say, yeah, I lived through this time. And it was crazy. It was hectic. It was tumultuous, whatever adjective you want to use. But I played a role. What do I mean? I wasn't the president, nowhere close. But I got the word out. What word is that? That we, the people, are back in control. We, the people, are taking control. Because if we are passive in this, I don't know that we're going to have the momentum to build it into a reformed American system that is resistant to the deep state, to the Illuminati, the Khazarian mafia, whatever you want to call them. We need to make sure that future generations are resistant to it. Is this going to happen again? Sure, they're going to try. They're going to try. But if we do this right, and we've only got one chance, ladies and gentlemen, if you are thinking right, you realize how close we came to being completely overtaken. Yeah, we did have an election overturned, usurped, stolen, right? So the fact of the matter remains, are we going to take or are we going to leave our country? I'm taking it, ladies and gentlemen. God has blessed us. I won't say the stars are aligning. That means nothing. What does mean something is that God is giving us an opportunity. We've got our country. What are we going to do with it? I'm going to leave with a verse today out of Corinthians. For what I received, I passed on to you. This is, of course, Paul writing to the Corinthians. For what I received, I passed on to you of first importance, that Christ died for our sins according to the Scriptures, that he was buried, that he was raised on the third day according to Scriptures, and that he appeared to Peter and then to the 12. What I want to illustrate with this is, you may have heard this this word, this writing, the Scripture, this truth before. But what it's intended to do is show that there is proof, ladies and gentlemen, for what's written in the Bible. And God doesn't expect us to believe things that don't jive with the truth, or at the very least, logic, experience, and a thought process. He doesn't want robots. He doesn't want automatrons. He wants people that respond to his message. Now, I'm not going to conflate our political zeitgeist with the Word of God. I would never want to do that. But what I want to tell you is that there's proof out there to see things not my way because it's my way. I'm not claiming that all these things that I'm telling you about are my exclusive opinions and perspectives. What I want to tell you is that you have the ability to be the arbiter of truth in your mind, be it about God's Son, Jesus Christ, or what's going on in our time. You decide. I highly encourage you to use a crucible, if you will, of truth vetting, using logic, experience, etc., what I've already gone over, so that you can come to terms with something that you would say is more than likely the truth. Now, we won't get the experiential gamut, if you will, that we do with the Bible, because God actually comes and lives with us in the form of the Holy Spirit. But we can have at least confidence that knowing that, hey, we're on a good path here. Freedom is a good thing. Yeah, we can abuse it, but just having freedom is a good thing, right? So I appreciate you coming alongside me. I appreciate everyone that watches this show. I literally pray for you, and I pray for your families, and I pray for America, because without God, we literally are nothing. But with God, ooh, wow. Imagine what our kids and grandkids could attain in a free country. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. God bless you. God bless your families. And God bless America. Have a great week. And until next week.